International break is over. Newcastle face Man City at St James's Park. Have Newcastle refilled their tank and are they ready to go and claim victory this Saturday? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Oh, brilliant from Shea. And now Murphy can take on the shot. Fabian Shea
All right, folks. How are you all doing? I hope you guys are having a fantastic Thursday coming up towards the end of the week now. Friday coming up as well. So, and we've got obviously match day coming up this Saturday. So, I'm really looking forward to that. And I've been looking forward to the show because it felt like I haven't done a proper match preview. Well, I haven't done a match preview for the last 2 weeks because of international break, but I also haven't done scouting reports for a while. And so I'm going to do one today on the second half of the show when we're going to be talking about latest transfer news. And that, in fact, just before we got onto the show today, Craig Hope added more information on Kees Smit, the young 19-year-old playing for AZ Alkmaar, and that's on the back of news that we've got from Keith Downey that Newcastle are interested, but also AZ Alkmaar won't stand in the young man's way. So we will talk about him in a little bit more detail in the scouting report, but we'll also be talking about other players that Newcastle scout, but also a little bit of a wider horizon view in terms of where Newcastle are at, what I'm expecting, what you're expecting this January and the summer coming. But that's going to be in the second half of the show. This first half of the show, we're going to be doing a match preview for the Man City game. And I want to know from you guys right off the bat, how are you feeling about it? When I was sending out the kind of the links to everybody on X and YouTube, on WhatsApps about the show, you get a mixed reaction from people. Some people were do not think that are kind of worried about the game. Obviously, Newcastle haven't been in the greatest form and everything else like that. But I don't know. Doing the preparations for the show and doing a little bit of the homework, I'm 50-50, and I'll see at the end of the show when we're doing the predictions where I'm going to be at the end of that as well. But as always, folks, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell. But let's kick things off. Let's kick things off with the preview, with the tactical breakdown. Did a lot of work on it, looking at how Man City have been playing, what they've been doing. But first, actually, let me, before I was going to get straight into the tactics, but let me just see first how Man City have been doing. What is their form going into the game? And we know what our form is going into the game. But we'll remind ourselves, just in case people forgot, I'm on AZ Alkmaar right now because I was looking at the young Kees Smit. But make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. So let's find ourselves Manchester City. Before we get into the tactical breakdown, let's find out what their form is like going into this game. So it gives us a bit of a flavor. And as you guys can already see, last 9 games? 3, 6, 9. Last 10 games, all across all competitions, Man City have won 8, lost 1 to Aston Villa, and drew 1 with Monaco 2-2. The last 4 games last 3 games been particularly impressive in my eyes. The Liverpool game, which I've got to watch. I was just watching I got to watch bits of it, but like good chunks of it. And I was watching. There's another tactical camera level. I didn't know that was available on YouTube, and they were seriously first 40 minutes, especially. I haven't seen the rest of the minutes just yet. But the first 40 minutes, especially, really, really impressive. But 3-0 against Liverpool, 4-1 against Dortmund, 3-1 against Bournemouth. That was a very impressive match as well, and obviously 3-1 against Swansea, but that's League Cup. Man City at the moment are second in the... Oh, I hate when it jumps around like this, but they're second in the Premier League after 11 games played, 7 games won, 1 drawn, 3 losses, with plus 15 goal difference, same as Arsenal's. Although they've scored the most goals so far in the Premier League with 23 goals. Have they scored the most goals? Yeah, they have, with 23 league goals and 8 conceded. So really good attack, and the defense doesn't look too bad either. In the Premier League alone, the last 5 games, they've won 4 and they've lost 1. Obviously, that one to Aston Villa. So they're looking particularly impressive. We know they've changed their style of play, which we're going to talk about a little bit more. But if we're just looking at the statistics at the moment as well, average ball possession around 56.5%, which you kind of expect, but it's not as much as you usually take, actually, which they usually have. They're usually in the 60s. Again, I think that's all intentional. They're scoring an average of 2 goals per game, which is crazy. They've been absolutely flying in terms of their attacking performances as well. Really good opposition in terms of passing, 82% in opposition half, which is impressive again. Accurate long balls, 49%, nearly 50% of their long balls are accurate, which shows you that they're more direct, but they're very accurate when they are direct as well. Like, they're really, really impressive. They're creating 2 big chances per game. They're literally getting nearly 14 shots off per game. 5 of those on target. Nearly 5 of those off target. Successful dribbles with the likes of Doku, Bernardo Silva, Cherky. They're getting nearly 11 successful dribbles per game. So extremely technical players, really good offensive players. They've got 5 clean sheets so far this year out of 11 games. Again, showing their defensive resolve. Not having to do too many tackles because they got the ball most of the time. They're winning 53% of their duels, 52% of their ground duels, and 58% of their aerial duels. So they're doing really, really, really well at the moment. They're in very, very good form. They got lots of very good statistics, and some of their players, particularly Erling Haaland, who we're going to talk about a little bit more, and Jeremy Doku, but Haaland obviously leading the way kind of in sofa score ratings, but in goals for certain, already 14 goals. 14 goals already this season. The rest of his teammates, though, are lagging far behind, which gives you the impression that if you shut down Haaland, you shut down everybody else. But I don't think it's that simple. You can see lots of creativity with Jeremy Doku, Ryan Cherky, Nico O'Reilly on 3 to 2 assists each. So you can see a lot of creativity, and with obviously Haaland being his expected goals, he's overperforming his expected goals. Even his expected 11 is scoring 14, which is phenomenal for him. So there's a lot for us to kind of unpack and talk about in terms of what answers Newcastle must have, or what answers will they need to have in terms of addressing the creativity and the attacking ability of Man City as well, but also what we have to do in terms of in the other end, being able to create and score goals ourselves, which we haven't been doing. So, but obviously it's a new day, it's a new dawn. International break is over, and we've got some players coming back as well, and everything else. So let's talk about it in a little bit more depth now. Man City coming in good form. We're not so much in good form. We've lost our last 2 games, for instance, as well. So we've talked about those at length. But let's talk more about Man City. Let's do our due diligence, our scouting on Man City, and talk about exactly what it is, how their style has changed, and what is getting them what is it that Pep Guardiola has done that's put them in such good form and good style of play. Now, on paper, and as you always see it, is they shape up in a 4-2-3-1. And again, by the way, big up to Football Meta. I got these graphs from Football Meta's YouTube, and there was somebody else I need to big up, Vida Football, who also gave really good tactical analysis on how the 4-2-3-1 works. But this is Football Meta's also his breakdown of Man City, of how they're playing and what they're doing as well. So big up to Football Meta. But yeah, Man City are playing in a 4-2-3-1 formation. You can see them in the blue there, right across there, with those two in the pivots of Nicolas Gonzalez and, well, it could be anyone, but it could be either Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden. There is a bit of rotation there as well, and with Nicolas Gonzalez as well, Ray and Shirky as well. So a lot of rotation there, but they love that two pivot. And we're going to be talking about double pivot because that's the difference between a defensive and offensive play. And that's their spine. And when they get that correct, it's very, very hard for any team to be able to cope with them. They build up, and it's going right to the second one. They build up. Man City build up with the wingers causing overload centrally. So it's very clever. You can see where the wingers are at, or their fullbacks really. So their fullbacks are turned into wing backs. You can see here on the left will be Nico O'Reilly, on the right will be Nunes. And we're going to talk about their positional play. It was really, really good. I watched it against Liverpool. So a lot of the time, when they want to, they can push up, but they do so this very, very clever kind of build up where they still stay within their half and they cause this overload. And it's because of where they stay within their half, they are kind of in this corridor of uncertainty for the opposition fullback. So the opposition fullback doesn't know whether to step up or to stay where they are. If they stay where they are, they allow their midfield in the second phase to be overloaded. If they step out, then they create massive gaps in behind them where the likes of Erling Haaland, Jeremy Doku, and others can step in. So that's I think for me personally, just right from the beginning, that's going to be the massive point of concern to kind of, or point of to highlight and for us to focus on, because on that side, on Man City's left side, which would be our right side, would be Kieran Trippier, and so he will need to be protected. He will need to be on his toes as well. I think there's going to be a big game there as well. So their fullbacks essentially are very, very crucial in terms of how they build up, as well as their double pivots as well. So they add, not only do the fullbacks provide an overload centrally, but their double pivot are also a big way that they can play out from the back and allow them to do the short passes and direct passes when and if they need to, as well as providing the offensive output, but also the defensive output. So moving again further to the right, Haaland keeps that right. Haaland's absolutely key for them. We just mentioned him earlier about his direct running, his ability to break runs with his running as well. So City don't always need to do a slow build up of the short passes. They can do those vertical passes which Haaland can latch onto. But also, what's really, really key, his reputation precedes him, and so he is able to keep this high line, and you can see it in the highlighted picture. He takes the centre backs with him, and it's happened with Liverpool where Liverpool did what they could, but it was very difficult for them. They started creating these gaps between their midfield and their back line because of Haaland's movement. He's drawing the centre backs with him. And so you got the wingers already who are hesitant, Liverpool wingers who were hesitant to push up because of the way the City fullbacks are positioned within their own half. And then you've also got Haaland pushing the other way and forcing the centre backs to follow him. And this is what ends up being created, this kind of massive gap in between, which allows their eights and essentially their fullbacks as well, and their wingers to kind of get into those gaps and allow them to be creative and dangerous in those um, uh, um, uh, on the half on the in those kind of pockets in between in those final third areas as well. Again, another point of contention that Newcastle are going to have to be very, very focused on in kind of getting right and making sure that we are on top of those things as well. Then on bottom left there, the two holding midfielders, have talked about them, essential to their play. Then we've got obviously playing out from the back up to the 9 City players. You can see that in terms of like how they are able to play out from the back. We're going to talk about it in more detail, but a lot of the times you'll see that their two pivots are in the staggered positions. So they make sure they're not central like that, but they're staggered like that, which allows them to progress the ball forwards. And then you've got the fullback joining in as well with the overloads with Doku and O'Reilly. You can see there on that left-hand side, causing those overloads and allowing them to progress the ball forward, with Haaland making those dangerous runs as well. It's going to be very, very important for us to be able to handle that. And then lastly, the big consistent interchange between Doku and O'Reilly, especially on that left-hand side. So sometimes you'll have O'Reilly hugging the touchline, or you'll have Doku hugging the touchline, and you'll have O'Reilly hugging the touchline and Doku coming inside, literally right next to Haaland, or Doku hugging the touchline with Nico O'Reilly coming in and dropping inside there as well. So providing that interchange as well. So a lot of rotation in those fullback and winger positions, as well as rotation between the pivots as well. A lot of information there that Newcastle players are going to have to take on board from Eddie Howe when he's working his tactics for this, in order to be able to address this as well. So that's like the overall kind of picture in terms of how Man City are playing. To summarize, that they got that 4-2-3-1 formation on paper, but it's really it's like a 2-2. It's like a 2-2. 2-4 almost, like the two centre backs, the two pivots, and or 2-2, like 4-1, like almost like the two centre backs, the two pivots, the forward players, and then Haaland up front. Haaland keeps that high line. Obviously, they've got the two double pivots there, supporting defensively, but also providing the ability to build up from the back, but also to provide a direct offensive play when they need it. Interchange between Doku and O'Reilly as well. So this setup allows them to beat the press by creating overloads at the back, create the space by having players move centrally or stay high, like Haaland and Doku, and then break lines by using quick, short passing combinations, and that's which we saw against Liverpool in particular. So in summary, those are the three things that style of football has allowed Man City to be able to be absolutely devastating in the league so far. I wanted to note again before we go, that another thing that Newcastle need to, and this kind of also kind of segues in what Newcastle can do in a moment as well, is on the left there. I wanted to highlight, and again, big up Vida Football for this. In a 4-2-3-1 structure, almost at all times, at nearly every other phase, the opposition team, this being Man City, will have about 4 players in the offensive end or ready to attack. And whether that's in the first phase of the build-up, and that's either or with or without the ball, second phase, and obviously the third phase itself. So this is something that Newcastle will have to be aware of, knowing what approach to take in terms of from their midfield and their backline, in terms of how we hold the lines. Are we going to be deep? Are we going to be in a mid block, or are we going to press up in a man-to-man kind of a man-to-man approach? There's some strategies, there's some thoughts, a lot of options that Eddie Howe has, and he has to try and pick the right one. Either way, though, pick the right one. But with those front 4 in a 4-2-3-1, it also gives, with the fullbacks pushing up high, it also gives Newcastle the opportunity because you've got space at the back, especially along the flanks when the fullbacks push up. When you see O'Reilly and Nunes push up, it gives Newcastle the opportunity to do quick attacks at the back, and that's probably going to be key in terms of how quickly Newcastle are able to move the ball up the other way. Usually, and we talked about this before, Newcastle don't really have an issue in terms of moving the ball quickly or directly into the opposition half. The main issue has been what they do once they get there and who receives it and what technical quality they're able to show. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of misplaced passes, easy passes being missed, not seeing the pass, or just players not being available, i.e. the likes of obviously Livramento, who makes those kind of lung-busting runs into the opposition half, just not no one being there for that. Obviously, we're going to see hopefully a difference in that with Lewis Hall coming back on that left side. So there will be areas for Newcastle to exploit. It's about us taking taking those opportunities and showing quality in those opportunities as well. So it's not always going to be, this is like a really neat way of showing how the 4-2-3-1 sets up against the 4-3-3. So in blue is the team that's in the 4-2-3-1. And in yellow and gold, or gold and black, is the team that's in a 4-3-3, typical of Newcastle. So that's kind of a really neat way of showing it. It kind of makes it look like, every section, for Haaland there'll be two centre backs. For both their wingers there'll be two fullbacks. There'll be a 3-on-3 in the midfield. And almost the same on the other end, our centre forward against their two defenders, our wingers against their two fullbacks. In the game itself, and with how Man City play, and we talked about it earlier, and we're going to show a little bit more on the tactical table. Both teams are going to try and cause overloads. Both fullbacks are going to be clever in their positioning, either staying in the build-up play, staying within their own half and collecting the ball. So kind of providing those outnumbering their opponents in the central areas, but then also being able to overload their opponents as well, and in order to progress the ball quickly up the field. So that's what's the likelihood of what's going to happen. But what it allows us to see is just how I guess in a perfect world, or kind of in a neat and tidy way, that's how the teams could match up, and players could match up against each other as well. I wanted to show, speaking of the build-up as well, I wanted to show how also Man City press. And they do press aggressively. This is Liverpool going from right to left. Liverpool played with a double pivot. They play slightly different to how they were playing before. They haven't got the three midfielders. They've got two midfielders with Wirtz pushing up mainly on the left. There you can see him here. So it's quite different. And I think that's why, for instance, Slot got his shape wrong. It'll be a different story for Newcastle, where we do play with three recognised midfielders as well. And I think we will for this game. But just to show it, Liverpool are playing from out the back there. You can see already, obviously, they've got the two centre-backs across the goalkeeper here. With the next line here, with three Liverpool midfielders and two Man City forwards in Haaland and I think it's Bernardo Silva. But you can see already they're very quick in terms of, or they're very aggressive in their starting positions and how they're pressing Liverpool right from the beginning. And the plan, they had a real clear plan of what they wanted to do, City. They wanted to ensure that Van Dijk didn't, especially Van Dijk, didn't have passing options. They wanted Konate to have the ball, because Van Dijk is able to do those incredible like diagonal passes and break lines. So their plan was always, City's plan was always to limit Van Dijk's ability to be able to do those long diagonal passes and those vertical passes on the other end. And Haaland was paying lots of close attention to Van Dijk in this game as well. And they did that really, really, really successfully. A lot of the times, Konate is no slouch on the ball, but he's not as good as Van Dijk. But that plan worked for them as well. And they're missing Trent. If they had Trent Alexander on that right-hand side of the midfield, they would have had two options, either Van Dijk or Trent. Right now, they only really have Van Dijk who's able to do that. And that, again, kind of leads me back to why I'm happy Lewis Hall is back. Because we've got guys that we've got either Botman or Chow, or if Tonali or Bruno drop in. But now we've got Lewis Hall. And it was a lot more difficult for people for us to play out from the back before, where the teams just wanted to press us and force us to get the ball to Dan Burn. God bless Dan Burn, but he's not Lewis Hall on the ball. He's not Van Dijk on the ball, right? So that's what happened. So City had this really, really clever press where they're going to do, and I also say that to say this, that they're going to fight. They're also going to, it'll be interesting to see what their tactics would be in terms of who would they try to get the ball to? Who would they, when they're pressing, when we're playing out from the back, who would they want the ball? Who would they want to have the ball? Would it be Lewis Hall? I doubt it. Chow, Botman, Kieran Trippier, like who would be their preference essentially? Or would they sit back a little bit and try and get the ball off Tonali, allow the ball to get to Tonali or to Bruno Gomes? Should be very interesting to see how City press as well. So you can see them again, they're already outnumbering, and even though they've got only two forwards there, their main plan was to try and ensure that Van Dijk didn't have options, and it worked. From then on, they outnumber Liverpool 3 versus 2 here. Then they got a man-to-man press as well for the two pivots, and they outnumber the two centre backs, and they allowed them to have a lot of success as well against Liverpool in that way as well. And by the way, God bless Aaron Cave. Evening to you, evening all. Aaron says going to be a difficult game. More worried about Doku than Haaland because him against Strips is a real mismatch. Yeah, I agree with you there. Going to be a tough game. I'm hoping for changes. So am I, absolutely. And God bless Michael Petit. I don't know if you're the first one to the channel. Forgive me if it's not, but good to see you, Michael. Evening, Phil. Evening to you, sir. So, yeah, City have a really good aggressive setup. They have a real kind of in terms of stopping Liverpool from playing. And I envisage the same kind of thinking against Newcastle, but Hall makes things a lot more easier for us, or no, a lot more difficult for them as to how they're going to press with burn out as well. And again, this is how that would look on the tactical board. This is again Liverpool pressing as well. This again City pressing as well. This time Liverpool are a little bit outside of their box with two in the back there again. This time they had, if you remember, they were trying to do a 2-2 coming out, but that wasn't working out for them. This time Liverpool brought 4 players back in order to try and get the ball back. But what happened was they're totally outnumbered. They've surrendered territorially this midfield area, and what they're left with is either try and build up from the back, or hit it long and hope that either Salah or I don't know if it was Ekatike are able to do something with it. And when obviously the game finished 3-0, and that not much was able to do with it. And so Newcastle do not want to be caught in this type of situation. We've got to find a way to build up from the back. Or if we are going to go long, if we are going to go direct, we need to be able to have someone that's going to be on the other end and is able to get the ball. Aaron says Philip will need a scouting report on O'Donnell's, Kees Smit, and Ryan Vitor. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I'll be able to get all of them. I'll definitely get one of them a little bit more detail, but I'm going to be following. I've got games to watch now. Obviously, Smith plays for AZ Alkmaar. Ryan Vitor plays for Palmeiras, I think it is. Or Dennis plays for Club Bruges. So even though I've seen him play a couple of times last year, but we've got players to look out for sure. Aaron also says how I'd line up for this game is a 5-3-2. Okay. Ramsdale, Trips, Shaw, Botman, Chow, and Hall, Ramsey, Tonali, Bruno, Ilanga, and Voltemada. Yeah, you got your setup there. I like that. I'm gonna keep mine a surprise, I suppose. Well, it's not really a surprise. I'm gonna go for a 4-3-3. But I'll show soon about how that's gonna work out on a tactical board as well. So yeah, that's how it looks like on the tactical board in terms of, again, playing out from the back. And it's going to be very important here as well. Speaking of us playing out from the back, we saw what happened to Liverpool. They ran out of ideas a little bit in terms of how they're going to play out from the back. After it was clear that Van Dijk, that City, no matter what happened, no matter who got the ball for Liverpool playing out from the back, as long as Van Dijk didn't have options, City, their initial press worked like a treat. And so there's options here for us in terms of what we want to do. Again, I'm not sure who City are going to target between Hall, Botman, Chow, and Trips, because I think they're all capable on the ball. And maybe Trips because he's less dynamic on the ball. You know, he can't drop a shoulder and get past the man, whereas Lewis Hall can. Chow can as well. Botman has his ability as well. So maybe Trips. But Trips has a decent long ball as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But in this formation, you can see one way of kind of playing out from the back against a 4-2-3-1 formation is to have your number 6 drop in between the two centre backs. So the two centre backs 4 and 5 split. So you can imagine Chow and Botman split with a Tonali or a Bruno, but because it's number 6, we'll say Tonali drops in. The two fullbacks just outside the areas as well. The position of the fullbacks for this game is going to be very, very, very crucial as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how we play. Obviously, on the left side it'll be Lewis Hall. On the right hand side it'll be Trips. And because Man City are quite narrow, there will be every opportunity for us to get the ball out to our fullbacks as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. But in this instance, the number 6 drops in, collects the ball, is able to evade the number 9 press, which should be Haaland, and the number 10, it might be a Doku, it might be a Bernardo Silva, depends who's there on the rotation. And what you get here is you'll have your number 8, maybe a Bruno Gomes or a Joe Linton, but I'll say Bruno Gomes, he drops in and creates these triangles with the fullback. So if it's on the left side, it will be Joe. Okay, I'm going to reveal some of my players. So I've got on the left side, I've got Hall, Ramsey, and Joe Linton. So, for instance, they'll form these triangles here to try and cause these overloads and progress the ball up front. But if you notice where the number 9 is in the yellow and black, they're pushing up the centre backs. So in this, we already know that's not Voltemada's style. Voltemada's style is to drop in where the number 8 is, right? If you guys get it, remember that's his style, to drop in there in the half spaces. If Voltemada's going to do that, fine, but then somebody has to push the centre backs back. Otherwise, we're in trouble. Either it's a Tonali or either it's a Bruno. It's got to be somebody to make this work to help us to progress the field, and that's what's been troubling us a little bit as well. Previously. So it's absolutely imperative that we do that part as well. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit further in the tactics board as well. We'll talk about how City will play out from the back in a moment. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Aaron says, wide play is where we struggled before. Doku against Trips is a mismatch as we need Shaw to cover it, and Savinho twisted Hall last time out. negates their threats out wide. Okay, so that's why you want to do the 5-3-2. Aaron says, I do think Ramsdale starting allows us to play Tonali higher and he can become that third man. Yeah, I agree. And allows our fullbacks to stay high and wide because everyone trusts Ramsdale to find his man. Yeah, I agree. And in my starting lineup, I've got Ramsdale as well. I've got Ramsdale as well. Okay, so this time it's City playing out from the back. And we talked about this is why I was saying to you earlier, when they say 4-2-3-1, it's not like a neat 4-2-3-1. You can see City playing. This is pretty much like a 2-2 or 2-3-1-3. How they've lined up is about very narrow, very, very compact. And by this stage of the game, you might guys might be thinking, why are Liverpool, City's goalkeeper's got the ball. Why are Liverpool, why they're not further higher? Why are they not putting any pressure on their centre backs or on the two pivots? And by this stage of the game, City had already, through the way they rotate, through their build-ups, through the direct play, they were already causing Liverpool a lot of alarm and distress. And Liverpool were going back, defending deeper and deeper each and every time. And again, this is something that Newcastle are going to have to fight very hard. In my opinion, if we're going to win this game, we have to fight against doing that, honestly. So anyway, you can see them, because Donnarumma isn't Ederson on the ball, right? He's not overly interested in staying on the ball for too long as well. So he can be pressed. But anyway, you got a two. So that's the thing to keep in mind. So you got a two centre backs there, obviously, and then you got a two double pivots staying very, very close to each other. They're a bit naughty here because they're meant to be a bit staggered, but they're right in line with each other. But they're supposed to be a little bit staggered. And you can see O'Reilly on the left there, and as Aaron says, he can invert or stay out wide as well. And you can see right where the Liverpool right back is, Bradley. He doesn't know. He knows the ball can go out to Ryan, who's available. How do you... Does he make up that distance? And he had to do that a couple of times in the game. Does he go out and meet him and then leave this huge gap behind him? Allowing the likes of Haaland, allowing the likes of Doku to run into that space? Does he really want to cause that kind of heart palpitations to Konate by doing that? That's the question that Kieran Trippier is going to be asking himself, playing on that right-hand side as well. Now, I trust Kieran Tripp's intelligence in terms of when to press and when not to press, but City are going to be asking this question like throughout the game. So it's going to be interesting to see what sort of approach Newcastle take, what shape we use in order to address that, because the fullback stays back, and essentially Liverpool are already outnumbered in this area of the pitch. So if they're already outnumbered, they don't want to press, so the ball's going to go out to the centre backs anyway. They've got the closest forward there, I think, is either Wirtz or I can't see who it is up front there, Ekatike probably. So he's not going to get the ball either. Then the next bit here, just further up, we're not quite in the second phase just yet, but on the border of it, they're already outnumbered by it because O'Reilly is here. So they're going to get played out. Bradley's thinking, should I stop it? Should I not stop it? He stays where he is, but once O'Reilly gets the ball, he's got options to either run into that gap here or pass it into the central to the inverted player here, allow where there could be a triangle form between him, Doku, and I think it's Bernardo Silva, and they can continue to overload and progress the ball up the field again. This move was already started just from the moment Donnarumma got the ball at his feet. So again, it's going to be really, 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 really interesting to see what approach Newcastle take. Are we going to go press high and do a man for man press, or are we going to go into a low block? Are we going to do what Liverpool are doing, which is like this kind of like mid block? We've kind of been doing this already. The kind of mid block passive um, uh, passive defensive shape up. It didn't work. It didn't work. It kind of feels like all or nothing when if you're playing against City. So that's something to keep in mind as we're talking about. And that reminds me, I'm going to head to the tactics board as well. So some things to keep in mind in terms of City's aggressive press when we're playing out from the back. They are going to target somebody. As they did for Liverpool, they targeted Van Dijk, and that really hampered Liverpool's ability to play out from the back. And for Newcastle, they're going to target somebody. I think, unlike Liverpool, we've got Lewis Hall back. He can play out from the back. Chow can, Botman can, and it lessens the load on the likes of Tonali and Bruno to having to do that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how City press. Maybe they press it with more aggression. Maybe they add more numbers on Hall as well to kind of stop that as well and force the play somewhere else. That's going to be interesting to see. But also the way City play out from the back as well, and how their fullbacks cause overloads at every phase of the pitch, and how and when to press those fullbacks is going to be the key questions for our fullbacks and for our midfield, especially our fullbacks though, going forward as well. So, let's head over to the tactics board. I want to be able to kind of give a little bit of breakdown of what we talked about. Before we do that, though, we've got a few folks here. We've got Aaron saying O'Reilly also inverts into midfield a lot to form that box midfield. So ideally, we'll need Hall inverting to match them centrally. Yeah, exactly. But also, our wingers need to actually be direct, force O'Reilly to stay in his half of the pitch and cause a distance in the gap between him and Doku as well. Aaron says, if they're going to target anyone, it's probably Trips. I think it's probably going to be Trips as well. I think they're going to try and run him ragged. If I was them, that's what I would do. Okay, so I need to... Let's get to the tactics board. Where art thou, tactics board? Here we go. Is that it? It is. All right, let me make sure you guys sharing this. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. Okay, so I've started off with where's the ball? Here we go. So I've started off first of all with the first phase of play where Man City are playing out from the back. So that same phase where you saw them against Liverpool, where Liverpool really, really struggled in their shape and in their decision making in terms of how and when they're gonna press Man City, and a big factor of that was their fullbacks, Riley here, Nunes here, and in this case, for instance, as Bradley had for Liverpool, Trippier is going to have to ask himself this question when Donnarumma's looking to play out from the back. And O'Reilly's either here, he plots up the here to make it really, really kind of interesting. What does Trippier do? Does he push up or does he stay where he is? But let me go back first before I start. Let me talk about my lineup first as well. I didn't talk about my lineup. I want to and my shape as well. And maybe that's why I favor. This is going back to why I favor 4-3-3. I don't kind of like Liverpool's approach of having the 2 double pivots, because what that meant was they were getting outnumbered in this area a lot of the times. But we're going to get in the moment. This is my lineup. And I think this international break gives Eddie Howe the excuse to be able to change the personnel around. And I started off with Ramsdale in goal. Similar reasons for what Aaron was saying, his ability on the ball. His ability is really good at being a super keeper, but also his ability on the ball. So when we are playing out the back, we're going to talk about it here. When we are playing out from the back, whereas before we had to be quite deep, and because we're worried about, because Pope doesn't have quite the same ability on the ball, because of Ramsdale's ability on the ball, we can push up, and our centre backs can even be further apart if they can. And as was highlighted before as well, our midfielders can stay a little bit higher up, and so it kind of forces the Man City press to have to create these type of gaps as well. So it allows us to create these type of channels here. So our midfielders can stay fairly where they are as well. Obviously, there's gonna be a press on as well, but it gives us the opportunity to, because of Ramsdale's ability on the ball, he can pass through the channels or even hit directly, really, really accurately. I think that's why I've chosen Ramsdale to play. Where is it? Here, I think we were here. And so I've got Ramsdale in goal, Chow and Botman as our centre-backs, Trippier on the right, and with the long-awaited return of Hall, I've got Mr. Hall playing at left-back, and he's going to be absolutely pivotal in this game. So Hall for Burn. Obviously, Burn's off suspended. I've kept the same midfield three of Joe Linton, Bruno, and Tonali. Though I can understand arguments for instance, Miley playing or whatnot and others. But I've kept them, and I'm going to explain why in terms of when we'll go through the breakdown a little bit. But in terms of up front, I've got Elanga on for Murphy. I think he's better at carrying the ball forward and getting past players. And although O'Reilly's very, very good going forward, I think he's still young, and he struggled physically against Salah. And I think Elanga can cause him the same type of problems. I want to see O'Reilly having to run back towards his goal. And I think Elanga can provide that. So I would want to see Elanga play instead of Murphy, Voldemort in the centre. And I've got Mr. Jacob Ramsey playing in the left wing role over Gordon, who's injured, but also over Barnes. And part of the reason for that is his ability to also invert when Hall is going out wide, but also to have the intelligence and the ability to be on the outside when Hall is going on the inside. I think that's going to be very, very key. If Gordon is available and fit and ready, then Gordon would play, in my opinion. Gordon would play, and it's a 50-50 toss-up on whether Joe Linton goes on the bench and Ramsey stays, or Ramsey goes on the bench and Joe Linton stays. I'll let you guys decide that. But I've got, as we stand at the moment, obviously it's touch and go for Gordon, and I want to see Ramsey instead of Barnes play, because I think Ramsey's better in terms of on the outside, in terms of getting past the man, and just as good or maybe even better than Barnes in some way in inverting and connecting. I want to be able to see these type of triangles forming on the sides of Man City, and I think Ramsey and Hall really, really help with that. I think even looking at it, if Gordon is fit, then I would want to see Gordon instead of Joe Linton. I would want to see Gordon here, and I'd want to see Ramsey in the left wing role. And I think their ability, then you've got a lot of flexibility. All of them, all of these guys are good on the outside or on the inside. And Hall is absolutely pivotal in doing that, in his ability to progress the ball. Either he doesn't mind staying on the inside and allowing Gordon to go invert on here. Ramsey knows what to do as a third man, or Ramsey knows what to go on the outside here, allows Hall to stay where he's at, and allow Gordon to go inside here. This will be absolutely crucial. And I think Bernardo Silva's getting on in age. Diaz is getting on. Nunes is the only one with a level of athleticism here. I think between Gordon, Hall, and Ramsey, we can cause some real damage on that left side, right? That's if Gordon is fit. It'll be a slightly different story. I'm going to keep Joe Linton on just because I'm gonna play it safe and say he's not fit. But I think what happens with Joe Linton, though, when they form these three-man overloads, I think more time than not, Joe Linton stays here. And Joe Linton's gonna have a big role here in terms of either pressing Nunes from when Donnarumma plays out. Or is it will look like this. So pressing Nunes when Donnarumma's looking to play out, either pressing Nunes or Silva, but also being able to come back and support Hall when they try to form these overloads themselves on this side of the pitch. So he's going to be very crucial. I don't know why I got Tonali here. It's going to be very crucial in being able to do that. So Tonali will be marking here, like that. So that's my lineup. I want to see what you guys are saying about it before we kind of break down things a little bit more. What can Newcastle do in terms of stopping the build-up, but also being able to cause a little bit of havoc themselves? Let me know what you guys think so far. Aaron says, if they are going to target anyone, it's probably true. Oh, I read that one. Sorry. Adrian says, 4-2-4 for me. Let Nick pop in and out of the midfield. Yeah. Aaron says, I'm going to talk about it actually. Aaron says, think if we go 4-3-3, there'll be gaps once their wingers beat their fullbacks. And I think that's going to happen. So we'll need someone covering. Last thing we want to do is give Doku a Savino space. Yeah, I think there's different ways to be able to stop that. The approach I'm taking is more aggressive. So I think we can stop those overloads from the beginning of the build-up. I'm going to go into it in a moment, rather than try and do a containment job, because then we end up looking like Liverpool, I think. So, but there's different ways of doing it, because so I don't think going for. I think that if we're able to stop their pivots, the two double pivots, that's gonna go a long way in order for us to get some foothold in the game. And I'll talk about that in a moment. Aaron says, I do think a 4-3-3 has gone stale for us, and we really need to try something else. 5-3-2, I think, stops their main threats out wide and stops them building centrally, and transitions will have bodies. We do that with a 4-5-1 and a 5-4-1 as well. And I think we'll go into that shape as well when we attack. So the 4-3-3 is only really when we're pressing and when we're attacking, in a sense, as well. So again, I think if we, and when we're defending, we'll put up going in a 5-4-1, 4-5-1 anyway. But I see what you're saying. Aaron says, Elanga or Gordon's, excuse me. Where's my comments? Okay. Elanga or Gordon's pace running of Watermada, who's good at holding up the ball, stretching their backline while our FBs do the same, is ideal for us. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see where Gordon is. If Gordon is fit, this might be the ideal game for Gordon, especially with Hall back. I'm really keen to see how Gordon performs now that Hall is back. Aaron, because I think he's going to perform very well. Aaron says, need to stretch the pitch and play them in transition. That's how I feel we win this game. Okay. And Adrian says, I like the idea of using Ramsey on the left, even in a 4-2-3-1. Yeah. I think Ramsey and Hall, let me go back to. So speaking of Ramsey and Hall, because this is going to be a big key part about what Newcastle can do. Let me get back on the screen. And I'm going to talk about the right side in a moment. Okay, so first of all, stopping Man City. What Liverpool did in playing the two type of pivots, they kept on getting outnumbered in the midfield area. And how did they do it? I forgot how they did it, but they kind of tried to do what did they do? They did like a 4-1-2-3, or it didn't work for them. They just constantly were overloaded on those sides. So part of the reasons why I'm proposing a 4-3-3, obviously Ramsdale in the back there, Botman and Chow centrally here. What City like to do? So if you've got Nunes and you've got O'Reilly, what they want to do is try and cause the confusion starts right at the beginning for the opposition, right? You've got their two centre backs, and then most importantly, you've got their double pivot. So let me take that off. They're very, very key. This pivot of Nico Gonzalez and Bernardo Silva are very, very key. All they want to do is get the ball out to O'Reilly or Nunes. Or if it's Doku that drops in and O'Reilly goes out, all Nico Gonzalez wants to do is to be able to cause these type of overloads, get the ball out to Doku, Doku gets the ball out to O'Reilly, either Nico or O'Reilly, or Doku follows up, and then you got another overload happening here. That's all they want to do. And then if they're really feeling it hard, and either joins in on the left side or goes centrally, forcing the centre backs back again against here and causing this type of situation where everybody's scared about what's going to happen next. That's all they want to do. So there's got to be a way to stop their double pivot and to create a gap between O'Reilly and Doku, or Nunes and Cherki. Cherki, I'm less worried about because he's got a lack of pace, but he's going to be dangerous in other ways. So let me get back to where I was. So Ramsey on the left here, pressing Diaz, Voltemada pressing Vardio, Silva, and where's Gonzalez? Nico's here. What I would do in a 4-3-3 is have Bruno pressing up on Nico, Tonali pressing up on Silva. That leaves Hall to press up high on Nunes, and Elanga's out here with O'Reilly. Trippier doesn't have to be necessarily alone, but he'll be watching Doku. Doku would have an opportunity to think about where he wants to be at with Chow. So it's either you're going to have Chow here, Haaland here, and Botman here. And what that leaves us is to have is either have this situation with, and again, it depends on where they want to play. Joe Linton is going to be key in a sense of, and you can have either Joe Linton pressing up on Nunes and Hall staying back, or Joe Linton staying back and Hall being in this position, whichever way we want to do it. But the whole point is that we've got a free man. City 2 have a free man, and that is Foden, right? Now, you can either have Joe Linton staying back and maybe Botman going up with Chow staying in on Haaland, Botman playing up and going up against Phil Foden, so blocking anyway, kind of a direct ball to him, or Foden would try to drop in. It will be up to Botman to decide how far he wants to drop in there. he might not want to go too deep. But if Foden does get the ball, for instance, in this situation, Botman says, no, I'm going to stay back where I am. It either gives Tonali or Bruno the opportunity to then press Foden instead. Hall steps in against Silva. Botman comes back here. Joe Linton can either stay here on Nunes or stay where he's at. But the whole point of this is at all times it stops Man City from being able to play out from the back, even with the overloads of O'Reilly. Is to stop their ability to having the extra man when they're playing out from the back and force them to go long. Now, they can go long. The ball can go out to Doku, who might be on the byline here, but at least is further away. What you have then is a Trippier, Chow, and Botman situation. So you got the spare man here. Doku, all Trippier has to do is just stay with Doku and make sure he's not out of position with Botman following Haaland. Now, this is easier said than done because Haaland is superb, right? But it's better this way than it would be if we don't have the extra man, and it allows the likes of Nico or Riley to come back to play, and we've got no extra man, and the overloads start happening as we saw earlier. So I think that's what the 4-3-3 allows us to do, is to give us some flexibility. It's like a hybrid man-to-man role situation, but half hybrid and half. It's a hybrid role where you got a man-to-man and then some players staying where they're at. So it's always going to be difficult however you play. But Chow can either stay with Haaland in this situation with Botman following behind. Trippier main situation is to keep Doku on the outside, easier said than done, or at least slow him down. He doesn't have to try and step in. But the main thing is to slow Doku down, allowing the likes of Bruno Gomes to come back or Tonali to come back. And then the likes of, for instance, Chow can then come and support him as well. And then you can block the attacks that way. So I think that's the main reason why I've gone for the 4-3 in that way as well. Then ourselves in terms of from playing out from the back. And let me just arrange the players. I'm going to, if there's any super chats? Not super chats. What am I talking about? Anybody, if there's anything in the chats. But let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I think I've chosen a bit more aggressive way of doing it, but it's not reckless. The main thing is going to be shutting down the two pivots in Foden and in Nico and Silva, or if it's Foden, whoever. It can leave Foden free, but if he's collecting the ball deeper, he's got more work to do. And like I said, it gives whoever is up front, whether it's Joe Linton or Hall or Tonali, to either press themselves and force the issue out wide. It's up to them. Donnarumma is not Edison. Donnarumma is less likely to try and do these chip passes to Nunes or to Cherki out wide. That's going to be difficult, or even to Doku. He's going to try and do his best to hit it up high to Haaland, for instance, instantly, and try and get them to win these 1-2s. And that's the second part that Newcastle do very well, is to even if Haaland gets the first contact, we must win the second ball. It's imperative that we win the second ball. If we do not win the second ball, we're in absolute anarchy. We're in absolute bits. We're in absolute trouble here if we do not win that second ball, right? So that's the other part of it. Yeah, so playing out from the back. And this is also going to be key in terms of when City push us. I think this is going to be this is going to be the likeliest way, in my opinion, that we are able to score. So let's see. Bruno's here. Tonali's here. Joe Linton. Come on. And Ramsey. All right. So they like to push up. Haaland in a 2. So they kind of what they are really good at is having this almost like a 4-4-2 press. Really, really clever. And they will target someone. So say, for instance, they want to try and get, let me get Foden somewhere here as well. We'll sort him out in a moment. Say they, as we said, they try, their main aim is to see Trippier get the ball. Aaron says, just want to see if Automata gets service. He's already proven he can stretch a back line as well. We drop deep for Germany. Want to see Eddie and the team play to his strengths. I absolutely agree with that. Aaron. I think Hall is going to make is going to be a big part of that. So you'll have Haaland pushing up. If their main objective is to get Trippier with the ball, what you're then going to see is Haaland pressing in such a way where Ramsdale he will ensure that the ball can't. So let me show. So Chow, Botman, Doku, Cherky, Nunes, Silva, let's see. So where's Bruno? Bruno's here. We'll have our own two here. You'll have this type of situation. It'll be interesting to see what Voltamada does. So this is going to be the key part for us. This is the part I don't know what we're going to do. But say, for instance, City want to force it to Trippier. What you'll see is Haaland making these type of curve runs to make sure that the ball doesn't go out to Botman and it goes out to Hall, for instance. So Cherky, for instance, might be here. Silva or might be here. Doku might be here on so-and-so, on Bruno Gomes or Nico, whichever one. So Doku might be here against for Chow. Nunes, Diaz. It'd be interesting to see where Foden is at, because they might have an extra man. It'd be interesting to see how they press here. So Bruno Tonali drop in. Silva is here. Let me see. So Haaland is here. Cherkion, Hall, Nunes, Diaz. So they're trying to force us to leave one man spare, that being Trippier, right? And then once the ball goes out to Trippier, for instance, is either O'Reilly or Nico go out to him. In this case, it's O'Reilly. Guardiola shifts here, and we force Trippier, because Trippier is not able to drop the shoulder. He's instantly having to try and hit the ball long, or hit it, or give it back to Chow, which allows Doku and Nico to press again and try and dispossess the ball that way, or force Trippier in a bad long ball here. Although this is why I want to play Elanga. In this situation, if O'Reilly presses, there's a huge space here for us to go into. And I know Guardiola's no slouch. He will keep up with Elanga, but at least you've got an Elanga to try and stretch the pitch. So that's more so than Murphy. So that'll be interesting to see how we do that, if we do that. The other alternative, though, if City want to be able to play that way, and again, it depends on who presses. If it's again, Haaland closes off Botman, Tonali, Silva tries to close off Tonali, leaving Foden free and Nico to be able to press up. What role does Voltamada play? Does Voltamada also drop in? If Voltamada drops in here, either Foden picks up on him or Guardiola. If Guardiola picks up on him, it gives Trippier the space to be able to get the ball in the back and leaves Diaz alone. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Guardiola stays back, with Volta dropping in, and maybe Foden then comes in. But if Foden comes in, that could also create a space here in the middle for us, where you can have a Tonali. So Joe Linton takes over here instead, and you have a Tonali here. Either a Tonali or maybe even a Ramsey dropping in and Tonali taking the space. What then happens is you can have a situation where Trippier still hits it long, Lang goes out, and you've got space in the back there, or where's Elanga? Here he is. Or O'Reilly stays where he's at because he's worried about the space. And you've got a situation where Nico's got a choice. If he goes out to meet Trippier, he leaves Bruno free, or because Foden is marking Voltemada, they start creating gaps and spaces here in the middle. Where is it? Here in the middle, and it could leave either Ramsey free, Joe Linton free, Voltemada. I don't want to be too deep, but as you guys said, if Voltemada drops in and he's able to collect the ball, what you want to start seeing is these type of runs in the back, from the back. Either Ramsey, Bruno, Elanga, and Tonali. That's the type of situations you want to start seeing if Voltemada drops in and you've got City players following him. But I think playing out from the back like that is going to be absolutely key for how Newcastle are going to be able to play. And Lewis Hall, who I didn't get to mention enough, because he's going to be absolutely vital. I'm wanting to do a transfer. I've got to talk to the transfer stuff in a moment, but Hall's going to be vital again for the reasons that we talked about before, is to be able to create these overloads. Because if the ball does go out to Hall, because of his ability, he has the ability to get past Cherky, for instance, right? And if he gets past Cherky, he can drop the shoulder on the Cherky or on Silva, whoever's there. And what that leaves is the situations where you either have him and Ramsey creating overloads, or Voltemada joining in also, and you got these type of triangles where Diaz and the rest of them have to join in. Before with Burnley, we didn't have that sort of option, right? So it's going to be absolutely crucial to have Hall back. This is just from building up the back. We talked about earlier about how Hall will also continue either to part from the back, but continue to make these runs. You'll see Voltemada dropping in, occupying the defenders. Nunes is forced to run back and maybe play these type of 1-2s as well. So Hall is going to be absolutely key in terms of how we play. His ability to keep the ball in close spaces, his ability also to invert when we need him to invert, and to add even further bodies into those midfield areas as well. So even if we're going back to Trippier being trapped, you can have Hall dropping in here, and then Joe Linton or Tonali dropping in even further, Voltemada here, because of Hall's ability to invert and his ability on the ball. And then we're able to have as many numbers as they can as well, with the whole point of either releasing Elanga early, or Ramsey, for instance, as well, releasing these guys early and getting them out, or to be able to play it out. In this type of situation, you would want Gordon instead of Ramsey because of his pace. But Ramsey, I think, is also going to be vital with his ability to also invert and to play these triangles as well. The main thing is to be able to get these runs, because Diaz isn't the fastest guy in the world, for instance. And I want to see how Elanga does against O'Reilly. So, yeah, this is that's it in short, really. That's the tactical breakdown in terms of where I see things being won and lost for Newcastle. I would want us to be aggressive. I want to go for the 4-3-3 in and out of possession. I think it's going to be very important for us to ensure that we have we're able to deal with the double pivot in the middle. That's going to be absolutely crucial for us, and that will give us an option in terms of that. Would also, having the 3-man midfield helps us to deal with their fullback problem more easier. So Elanga can look at O'Reilly, or Ramsey can between Ramsey, Joe Linton, they can look at Nunes. I think they prefer to play with O'Reilly, for instance, at the back as well. So I think that's why I prefer to go with the 4-3-3 as well. So it's going to be interesting that way. And before we move on to the transfers, key players, we spoke about them earlier for City. Nico Gonzalez in that double pivot. He's been quietly getting on really, really well for Man City as well. He's been really, really good for them. Doku in his interchanges of O'Reilly, but also his dribbling ability, his pace, his ability to bring the ball out from phase 1 to 2 to 3. His bit of magic is going to be absolutely crucial for them. And Jermaine Haaland, absolute killer up front, pace, power, intelligence. Somebody was saying a lot, like, I don't know if it's true or not, but he hasn't been caught in an offside trap since he was 11 or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if it's true, but it sounds crazy. And his ability to stretch the line and cause gaps in those half spaces is going to be absolutely crucial for them as well. And for us, Hall, as I mentioned earlier, his ability in close spaces, his passing, his ability to get past the press, even his one-on-one ability as well, is improved a lot, and his recovery pace, his ability outside or on the inside, inverting or staying on the outside is going to be is super, super crucial. It would absolutely boost our attack, but also help us and it will give City one more thing to think about when they're pressing us, right? And I think Bruno and Tonali in closing down the double pivot is going to be absolute of City's, whether it's Gonzalez and whoever's there, is going to be absolutely crucial. Whoever wins that midfield battle, as it always is, will win this game for sure. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. And we'll get onto the transfer stuff in a moment. We've got about 40 minutes to talk about the transfer stuff. So, but let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. And let me know, send me your score predictions, guys. I'll give my score predictions after I read the chat. But send me your score predictions. And please do, as always, you guys always do, remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit those notification bells, guys. Jam Stasher, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Good evening, everyone. So happy league play is back. I mean, the Premier League is back. Absolutely. Absolutely. And good to see you, Jam Stasher. Jam Stasher says, just got here. What formation do you have here? There, 4-5-1. No. I've gone for the 4-3-3. I do think when we're kind of having to hit a low block, it'll be the 4-5-1 and everything else. But I think we'll play in a 4-3-3. I think we'll do like a hybrid man-to-man press in and out of possession, preferably in a 4-4-2 out of possession. And I see Ramsey on the left wing together with Joe Linton and Hall on that left side. If Gordon is fit to play, then I think Joe Linton goes on the bench, Ramsey's left wing, and obviously Hall is left back. So that's how I'm seeing it. That's what I'd like to see anyway. Bobby, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Bobby says, big up Philip and Toon fans. I hope you're doing well. The mood seems somber. Are you giving up the 3 points before the game? Not at all. I'm trying to work out a narrow path to victory. I'm trying to work out a narrow path to victory. Jam Stasher says, who do you have playing the left of Baltimore, Big Joe or Ramsey? Okay, yeah. So Ramsey. So I have Ramsey playing on the left of Baltimore with Big Joe as left midfield and Hall on as left back. If Gordon plays, Joe Linton's on the bench, and Ramsey's left wing. Thanks, Adrian. You actually cleared that up as well. Aaron says, call me deluded, 2-1 win. No, good to see positivity. Good to see that positivity. Love it. is absolutely important. And I didn't get to mention, but a lot of our guys internationally have been doing well, and they're going to take that on board as well. Adrian's gone, I think, 5-1 to City. I think he's gone. Oh no, yeah, Adrian. Yeah, I think Adrian's gone 5-1 to City. Aaron says, "Oh no, oh no, no, Jam says Gordon's definitely it's 50-50. They're keeping it all cloak and daggers. It's not clear. Giniesta, good to see you, Giniesta. God bless you. Big up, Philip, at the chat. Big up to you, Giniesta. I'll be really interested to see what you think about what. I don't know when you if you just joined the show, but let me know how you would approach the City game. I'll be really keen to hear your view. Aaron says, I think Craig Hope said Gordon will be all right for the game. Oh, did he now? Always turns up for the big games, but I don't want to see him start, to be honest. I think if he's fit, I think he starts. And I think he starts. All right, so guys, some of you's already sent your score predictions. I'm gonna give my score predictions. It's gonna be a tough game. It's gonna be a tough game. Having Lewis fullback is super helpful. An international break can stop the momentum or hinder the momentum of a winning team and restart the momentum of a team that's been losing. I'm gonna go for a I'm gonna go for a 2-2 draw, but it's gonna be a fighting 2-2 draw. It's gonna be a well-deserved 2-2 draw. That's my prediction, and I'm sticking to it. Giniesta says, I'd want us to start with the three in the midfield. Yep, that's what I said. Thank you. With three midfield, either the usual 4-3-3 or a 5-3-2. Reason being that City got two midfielders playing at fullback and O'Reilly and Nunes. Exactly. Absolutely. Nice one, Giniesta. I like that. John, God bless you. Good to see, welcome to the show. Pep has a better team and is just a better tactician than Eddie. Can't see anything else other than a loss. Okay, thank you for sharing that, John. Hopefully we don't see it. We'll see us getting points. Giniesta says, get water. All right. Giniesta says, I think one of their fullbacks will help to overload our midfield. Yeah. With the purpose of isolating their wingers. Absolutely. That's going to be the key to the game. Jam says I'm going 2-2, but hoping for a win. I think that's exactly where I'm at with it, Jam. That's exactly where I'm at with it. All right, so that was the match preview and a tactical breakdown. Let's talk a little bit about the transfers, and we've got half an hour. I've had a whole lot of stuff, but I'll focus on one key player. I'll give a little. I want to get you guys' views on what you think Newcastle's transfer approach will be. I've seen a lot of news about us going for more kind of gems in overseas markets. I hear that every time a new sports director comes in, but we'll see. I first wanted to go through this and to remind folks. Well, I've updated it now, but where Newcastle were in terms of where and are. Where Newcastle are now. This is currently where Newcastle are at in terms of our squad build so far. So we can see where the gaps are and where we're doing okay. Now, obviously, you've got Pope, Ramsdale, and Ruddy in goal at the moment, doing well. Radicamos on loan, and the potential of a James Trafford in January. A quick word on that, and I want to hear you guys' views. Do you think one is, would you have James Trafford join? Would you still want to have James Trafford despite the whole thing with City? Spoiler alert, I don't care. Like, if he's going to improve us, I want him to join. But if you wouldn't, would you have James Trafford come in January? If and do you think we can get him in January? There's been talk about that quite a bit. I forgot the articles now. I don't think it was the Iron newspaper. Was it Craig Hope? Or like, I think it was a City. I think he was a City journalist. I don't know, but apparently James Trafford is available. And the third question is, if we do get James Trafford, what happens to Ramsdale and Pope? Because the reason why James Trafford is leaving Man City is because he's not number one there. He's going to expect to come in January and to be number one. So do we cancel Ramsdale's loan and send him back? Or do we keep Ramsdale and sell Pope, for instance? I think it'll be difficult for Howe to sell Pope. He'll feel more loyal towards Pope. But I think if you're the owner, the proposition of having Ramsdale and Trafford, two modern ball-playing goalkeepers, is a good proposition to have. Although you're going to be paying to have both of them around £50 million. So we renewed Pope's contract. I think if we get Trafford, it's Ramsdale's loan who gets cancelled as well. So let me know what you guys think about that. But I think we're in a decent space in the goalkeeping department at the moment. I don't think, when I say decent, I don't think it's the priority. Here's what the priority is for me: the fullbacks. That's become so clear, especially with recent results. But oh, my camera's going dodgy. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. The camera, as always, will do the dodgy one. But let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. We can't keep Ramsdale as second choice, given that he's 120k, 10 million a year. That's well observed, and that could in fact be very much the case. Pope is aging though. I don't know. Genius said we can't. Yeah, it says can't keep him a second choice. How much is Pope getting paid? Aaron says, I think the Trafford thing has sold. To be honest, I would rather we go for Restes. So I don't know who Restes is, to be honest, or something European, keep abroad. Loan to buy doesn't make sense since we already have Ramsdale on loan. Okay, so a lot of you are happy as things they are. We know that Eddie likes. Genesis says we know that Eddie likes to go back for all targets. I think we'll sign Trafford next summer. Yeah, but Villa are lurking as well. Villa are talking to him as well. So I don't know. Adrian says, yes, keeper is certainly not the priority. Yeah, it probably upsets the apple cart more than it helps at the moment. Fullbacks. So I think fullbacks is the area that we really need to invest in heavily. And I know that we've been linked to some Spanish player, Marquez or something like that. We'll talk about him a little bit. I'm just not convinced. I think it's the same. I think this is like a story like we had with that other Spanish keeper during the summer, where people kept on linking us to him. And all it was trying to get Barcelona to buy him. Which they obliged, and they did. But I think we need to invest in fullbacks. I was saying in the summer that, the left back area, there was a gap. Burn is clearly not up to it. Would Alex Murphy step up? Clearly not. He hasn't got the trust of the gaffer to do that. So the left back role is certainly there. Right back, it's a slightly better situation with Trippier. Kraft can do a job here and there when we're playing lower league sides in early stages of cup competitions, but I think we could still benefit from a fullback there as well. And who knows, in the summer, there's more talk around City and Livramento, so we might need a right back anyway, a really good right back anyway. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. So definitely the fullback area is where we need support. I don't know if you guys also saw Shaw being talked about. I think it was by either German Sky Sports or Swiss Sky Sports as possibly leaving since Chow came in. I'm a bit surprised by that. I don't know about you guys. I'm a bit surprised by that because the way the reports are is that Shah is leaving because Chow's there now. But I'm thinking, can that really be true? Did Shah think he's going to be first choice all season? Like, I'm surprised that he's looking to leave. I mean, this was always for those reasons, because this was always coming. But maybe when reality hits, it really, changes things. So that might be an area that we have to look at in the winter as well. We'll see. But fullback area definitely is a place where I think we need to improve. Um, John says, I don't know why we don't invert Lewis Hall into midfield in possession to create overloads. We do. We do. We do. I think he's going to be key in doing that. Absolutely. We do. Janissa says Oscar Mingueza, that's it, is a versatile right back who's available on a free next summer. Came through Barca Academy as a centre back, but is more of a wing back now. Yeah, I heard a bit of a scout report on him from Antonio Mango. But Janissa, do you think it's for real? It just sounds a bit too. I have doubts about it. It just reminds me of that goalkeeper. I forgot the name of that goalkeeper. Do you remember that goalkeeper that's joined Barcelona now? And they kept on saying, "Oh, Newcastle are going to sign him any minute now." We all knew that Newcastle aren't looking to buy this goalkeeper, and it was just so that he can either go to Barcelona or get an extension. We weren't linked to this guy, right? I just got that feel about him as well. But if you've watched him, you think it's good, or you think the story, let me know. Aaron says, I'd like us to go for Nathaniel Brown to provide direct competition to Hall or Joaquin Sayers, a cheap alternative and very Hall-like player. Some more players for me to look out for. Jam Stasher says, oh, by the way, I don't think Eddie's going to drop Burn for anyone, so maybe 3 at the back. Oh, God. No, he's off. He's suspended. So he has to drop him. Janessa says, I think we should keep an eye on Botman situation. I have a feeling that Burn will be first choice LCB once Tino and Hall are back. And Botman only got 18 months left on contract. Yeah, that is something to look out for, though. I do hear that he's in discussions for a new contract. So, but you're right. Let's keep an eye on it. I'm hoping that he signs. Yeah, I think there's someone drumming up interests. Mingueza isn't the age profile we tend to sign. He'll be 27. Yeah, that's why I feel like it's off for me. It's a bit off for me, that story. All right, so that's the centre back situation or the defensive line situation. Midfield is less of a situation. We've got our 6 midfielders. Not many teams have 6 midfielders. The odd one out by a long shot is Willock, right? And he's the odd one out for more than one reason. He's getting very minimal game time. Even like when when we have been winning games or in position of making subs, he comes on like literally as one of the last subs, for instance. Also, his profile is not needed at the moment in terms of box-to-box midfielder. We've got that with Joe Linton. We've got that with Ramsey. We've got that with Tonali and everybody else. And I know a lot of people say Joe Linton needs to be upgraded on. I think Willock needs to be upgraded on. But are we going to be able to do that in January? I don't know. We're going to talk about, and that's what we're going to talk about, Kees Smit. He is a different profile to Willock and to Joe Linton, actually, and to what we've got as well. So we're going to talk about him in a little bit of depth in a moment as well. Read a scouting report. So we'll come back to him in a moment. And the forward line. I forgot to update it. But we all know that essentially Gordon, Barnes, Voltemada, Wissa, Ilanga, and Murphy are all playing, with Osola staying, and obviously Isak is not undecided. He's been sold. I don't think anything's going to happen in the forward line situation, right? Apart from a possible sale of Osola. I can see that happening. But going back to the midfield line, because we are going to talk about a young Kees Smit. There are other teams that we've been linked to. Obviously, we talked about the exclusive on Trafford. The situation is, if we don't go for him in January, Villa might sell Emi Martinez and go for Trafford themselves. Joel Ordenes, the Ecuadorian defender, who plays, he's a versatile defender, can play right centre back, a bit of right back, as well as left back as well, or left centre back. I was wondering if he can play right back. I was, skimming through his scouting reports. If anybody knows Joel Ordenes at any detail, any length, please let me know if he plays right back, or how good is he at right back? Can he do a job where you're happy enough to say he can rotate with Livramento? I'll be happy with that, right? And obviously, as a reminder, Fabian Schär is in talks with other clubs as well. Right. So we're going to talk about Kees Smit. Let me just read what the chats are saying, what you guys are saying in the chat. And then getting another cold, I think. We'll round things off with Mr. Kees Smit. Yes. Jam, he's been suspended. Burns been suspended. John says Ramsey signing never made sense to me. Seems like Willock 2.0. Nah, he's a different profile to Willock. He's more of a playmaker and creator. Much better at receiving the ball in the half spaces and creating. I think the more you see of him, the more you will see the difference, for sure. Aaron says, I hope we get Kees Smit, ticks every box. I haven't seen him play, but I've got him now targeted in terms of AC Alkmaar. I'll be watching their games. I hope we get Kees Smit every box for us creatively and offers us more going forward than anyone in that current midfield. Really? Okay. Very elite potential, and 22 million will be a snip. Okay. I'll have to... we'll see what the scouting report says. I know there's a big hype around him, but in my mind, I'm thinking, where's he play? Alkmaar? What's that? Holland? He's 19, Premier League. Whoa, he's gonna have to be a hell of a midfielder to be able to see that. Let's see. Janessa says, Joaquin Says, who Aaron mentioned, is a very promising 20-year-old Belgium left back who also can play on the right. A Club Brugge player who's been capped for by Belgium. Are Newcastle been linked to him? I'm going to look him up just because you've offered him up, guys, Aaron and Ginesta. But let me know if Newcastle been linked to him. Ginesta says, watch Bruges a lot last year. Ordenes is legit. Ecuador used him as a right back. Oh, don't say that. Okay, so we've got more reasons to watch Club Brugge. Okay. I know Liverpool are all over him as well, from what I can see in the news. Bobby Fairview says, so how is Eddie going to fit Wissa and Voltemada? Does Voltemada have the legs to defend on transitions when needed? He's not, you know what, his interceptions, if you go into his, I know you're good with the data, Bobby, his interceptions and his press isn't too bad. I think Wissa and Voltemada might be rotated. There's also an opportunity for Wissa to play on the wings as well, to rotate with the others. So I think there's different ways. I think Voltemada is expected to play with Wissa. There was an interview where he says, I can't wait for him to start, unless that was AI. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they play. Very interesting to see. Aaron says he can play CB and right back, very similar to Chow. Has great pace and very aggressive. He's our ideal CB cover for Chow. I can see for Chow, but I really need a good fullback. And Chow can play right back, but he doesn't play right back like a. I need him to play right back like Hall and T. I need or Dennis to play right back like how Hall and what's his name, Hall and Livramento play. If that makes sense. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but I think that's what we need. Okay. So Bobby also sees Ramsey and Willock at the same. Oh man, they're different. They're different. I reckon we'll ever see Chow. We saw Chow right back for against West Ham. He's fine, but he's not. It's not the same. It's not the same. Janessa says no links to the fullback. Joaquin says, but we have been linked to his teammates Ordenes and Stankovic, who's a 6 and an 8. And Dejan Stankovic. Oh, is it Dejan's son? Wow. What do you make of that kid? Of Stankovic? Is he any good, Janessa? Let me know. Aaron says, I do think Voltemada Tank is very underrated. Yeah, I think so too. Because he does get back a lot to help the team defend. He's done so at Stuttgart and done so for us. Yeah, I think so too. He hasn't got the burst of pace and kind of distance over time, but he does have it. He definitely has the legs for it. All right, so we're going to look in detail at Mr. Kees or Kees Smit, who's hit the headlines. And I'll tell you guys right from the beginning, it's quite. I'm quite curious and intrigued that Keith Downey, and now even today we've seen Craig Hope. I didn't get to see the article on Craig Hope. If anybody knows, can give a summary, like a really concise summary of what Craig Hope is saying about it. But for our Northeast journalists to have this level of information on this type of target and cause this type of hype, I'm not going to say it's unusual, but it's made me it's perked my interest. Like, because when Smith was first being mentioned, I was like, okay, another like a Akliush and everybody else. But the other journalists weren't really mentioning him. But with Keith Downey and Hope now is adding some credibility. And apparently they did it alongside this gentleman, Anthony R. Joseph, who's a Scottish journalist as well. So, okay, I'm going to read this and I'm going to tell you guys, first of all, what I think from the journalistic point of view, what I think is happening. Though I'm also beginning to what's the word? Sorry, guys. See it as more and more legit. So, Keith Downey, AZ Alkmaar. So this is on the 14th of November. Keith Downey says AZ Alkmaar will not stand in the way. Okay, so from the beginning, AZ Alkmaar will not stand in the way of selling midfielder Kees Smit. So this information isn't coming from Newcastle, right? It's either from Kees Smit's agent and or AZ Alkmaar themselves, or both. In that case, why are AZ Alkmaar and or his agent doing this? Are they drumming up business as well, is what I'm asking. Are they using Newcastle as, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Like are they sending up a flare to other clubs? Because they mentioned Real Madrid here and everybody else. I say, hey, we could be going to Newcastle. We could be going to Newcastle if you don't make a move. So that's my kind of caution about it, right? So AZ Alkmaar will not stand in the way of selling a midfielder Kees Smit, but we'll be looking for a record transfer fee in excess of 22 million, which is still doable for us. Obviously, we've got money, but it depends on how good he really is, which we're going to talk about in a moment. Newcastle are interested in the 19-year-old, says Keith Downey, but they face stiff competition from European giants like Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich. I think that's coming from either the agent or the club themselves. So this way it feels like it's drumming up business. But the thing is, to me, is why is Keith Downey and Craig Hope reporting this? It's because I think they're getting it confirmed. I don't think this is Newcastle releasing this information. SSN understands, or Sky Sports Netherlands understands, that Smit is keen to test himself. So again, that's the agent now, at the highest level ASAP, in capital letters, as soon as possible. AZ are open to selling Smit, but for a record fee. So this is AZ Alkmaar. Their current record sale is 21.8 million for Tino Reinders. So they're getting very specific about numbers here, which adds to the urgency of the situation of him being sold. Right? So that's what Tino Reinders went to AC Milan for. Smit, and that's their reference point. They're using Tino land. They're doing public negotiations. They're using the sale of Tino Reinders as a reference point for what they think Smit is and how much they rate Smit. Smit is admired at Newcastle, so somebody at Newcastle is talking, and is seen as a player with a very high ceiling. So Newcastle aren't denying the story. They're saying, yeah, we rate him really highly. And they're keeping it as that, which is the smart things to do. You don't want to go into the shop looking hungry. That's when you get fleeced. So I'm going to read the chat briefly, and then we'll get into his scouting report. I haven't seen 1 minute of him playing, apart from highlight clips. I don't take that in, so I'm going to be following him. Janice is talking about Stankovic here. Yeah, so he saw him against the other day of Serbia. He's still raw and expert, but perfect backup to someone like Tonali for a year or two. Okay. Thanks for that, Janiesta. John says, I hope Worcester isn't one of those players who comes back. Oh, it's about Worcester. Let me see what you guys saying about Smit. Aaron says Smit will probably end up at Bayern, Munich, or Dortmund and blowing up. He's so good technically, being compared to Pedri and De Bruyne. Very aesthetically pleasing to watch and can play anywhere. Okay, so big ups there. Jam Stasha says in England his name is Kees Smit. Yeah. Janiesa says Stankovic joined Bruges from Inter and plays exactly like his father. Ridiculously powerful shot, great long and short passing, and very combative. So you rate Stankovic highly there. John says, yeah, we're the bait of clubs. That's what it feels like to me, honestly. Chelsea, Aaron says, Chelsea have Quendo, who brought potentially planning to. Okay. I feel a suit from another team coming in, says John. Janiesa says Smit played in the Euro 19 final last summer and ran the show. Our Cordero played in that final too and did well also. Okay, so we're hunting the right markets. Okay, so let me see if I can get this Let me read his Smith's football talent scout. You guys know I rate it very, very highly. This is when Smith was 17. So this is about 2 years ago. He's 19 now. And just to give a brief background on him from transfer.com, what's his situation? Is it Kees Smit without the H? Can you guys see that? Oh no, you can't see that. I thought you guys could see that. Why does it look like that? That's weird. Let me share that again. I'm gonna go over time a little bit, but it's cool. Let's see. Why is the screen like that? Okay, so I don't know why it's like that. So let me just show you what I can see anyway. Kees Smit, he's 19 at the moment. Can you guys see that? Yes, you can. All right, so he's 19 at 1.85 centimeters tall, central midfielder. His agency's Forza Sports Group, covered international for the Netherlands under 21s. They've got him down as a central midfielder, really central, with links to Bayern at 31% likely, 8% likely to Newcastle, and then 5% to Borussia Dortmund. So, yeah, if he comes, it'd be great. But I'm sensing some skullduggery here from the agent and the club. So he's pretty much played for Alkmaar all his life. From the under 16 onwards, not all his life, but like I forgot who he transferred from. But Alkmaar youth, or from Forester's youth, that's it, to Alkmaar, from Forester's youth to Alkmaar for 800k. This season, he's played 11 games in the Eredivisie, 2 in the Conference League, 6 in the qualifier. So he's already on 1,500 minutes. A lot of games already. 19 games he's played already this season. 1,500 minutes. Wow. In the Eredivisie, with 11 games played, he scored 2 goals and 2 assists. That's a good return. With a couple goals in the conference, with 1 goal in the Conference League, 1 goal in the Champions League qualifiers. So he's playing really a lot of games. A lot of games. This doesn't even include the under 21s games. So, okay. Let's look at his. This is a scouting report of Smit. Make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, this is a scouting report for Smit when he was 17. Which will give us a good idea about who he is and what he's about. By one of my favorite scout reporters, Jacek Kulik. So Kees Smit, born on 21st of the... Oh, wow! Born on 21st of the 1st, 2006, 17 years old. He's 17. This is 2 years ago. He just joined at the time as well, relatively, or a year been in there. Played for the Netherlands under 17s. Position, defensive midfielder, central midfielder, and attacking midfielder. So it sounds like an all-round midfielder. His preferred foot is the right foot. And he's... When does his contract run out? I forgot to look at that as well. You can see I haven't done scouting reports for a while. Okay, so his contract expires 2028. So they've got room to maneuver for price. Alkmaar. So strengths. Okay, hold on. Sorry, contract. Similar type of player. Now, this is 2 years ago. Tony Cruz and Dominic Soboslai. For me, those two players are different. Tony Cruz, we know, is more of a controller, a dictator, sets the play, a deep lying midfielder, as Smit has been described. Dominic Soboslai is more box to box. For me, more of a runner, athletic, gets about the pitch. So, okay, so he's got a mixture of both those abilities: strengths, passing, vision, technique, ball control, football IQ, teamwork, composure, concentration, tackling, ability to read the game, work rate, positioning, versatility, ambidexterity. So that means he's both left and right footed. Interesting. Interesting. To improve good body mass ratio, and he's not afraid of contact duels, but still needs to build more muscle to keep developing his physical strength. I was 17 at this time, right? It'll be interesting to see if that's improved. And aerial duels, right? Okay. Style of play: he's a deep lying playmaker, a roaming playmaker, hence the Soboslai comparison, and box to box midfielder. He's versatile. He's multifunctional, well-rounded, and tactically intelligent midfielder. Cruz likes to dictate tempo using his good vision, passing ability at all distances, and natural technique to create dynamism in teams' build-up processes. Elegant on the ball with very good technical ability and close control. Excellent range of passing at all distances. Very high football IQ and spatial awareness. Always keeps his head up and scans the pitch before receiving the ball. I like that. Culture passer with a proclivity for breaking the lines of intricate vertical balls and difficult to knock off the ball thanks to his ability to shield the ball and close control. Constantly asking for the ball and often is an additional passing option thanks to his positional awareness and understanding of the game. More than capable of recognizing when to speed up and slow down the game when necessary. Great composure and retention, lots of stuff here. Skills under pressure, press resistant player. Superb footwork and ability to maneuver in small spaces. We need those. Very mature with superb decision making for a player of his age. High number of touches and passes per game. His reading of the game helps anticipate attacks, threats, and break down opposition attacks and through well-timed interceptions. Good work rate, shooting skills, knows how to make tactical fouls, operates very comfortably with his weak left foot, and is competent at direct and indirect set piece taker. He creates big chances through superb through balls, stays calm under pressure. He orchestrates play from deep, playing skills and vision. Wow, they rate him really highly. He is best suited to playing as a central midfielder in a 4-3-3. That's where we play, and they've got him on the left side of the 4-3-3 here. Interesting. And there's I think is that a full game? I'll get an up-to-date video of him. So he's already played in the Eredivisie at 17. They got a little background on him and his clubs and what he's done. And they've got him he's got a really big potential. 9.5 out of 10, they've got him at. Player has the potential to become a key player in a top European club. So, guys, what do you make of him? While I look for a YouTube compilation of him, he's another player I've got to now make sure that I look for full games on. Obviously, now that he's been linked to Newcastle, I love my Brazil scouts. I'm gonna get a bit of Brazil scout in a minute. But before we do that, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Promising stuff, but I want to say, but he'll come. Let's hope. I feel like we're getting set up here. John says, "Is Cordero developing well?" I'll talk about Cordero in a moment. I don't think he's doing. I don't think a lot of our learnees aren't doing well. Um, what are you guys saying about Kees Smit? Giniesta says he's nothing like Szoboszlai. Okay, maybe at 17, maybe he was showing something like 17. Just as I see a bit of Frankie de Jong and Smith. Ah, I like that. I like that. Very press resistant and glides on the ball. Aaron agrees. He says glides across the pitch and his body position is very Pedri-like, has great technique. Aaron also agrees. Jessa also agrees. Very good at scanning and receiving the ball. Okay, so let's have a look at him. Alkmaar got a game on the 23rd, so 3 days from now. That's a Saturday. Is that a Saturday? Either way, I've got to now look up at Alkmaar games. And let me zoom on this. Apologies, guys, I burped. But Brazil scout. Let me know what you think about this, Ginesta, Aaron, and anybody who's watched this. Now, the earlier scouting report had him compared to Tony Cruz and Szoboszlai. Brazil scout compare him to Tony Cruz again. So there's a common theme there of Tony Cruz, Bruno Guimaraes, and Enzo Fernandez, who's more of a midfield conductor. I really like those comparisons. They've got him technique, ball control, passing vision, tackling off the ball, first touch, long shots, decisions, ambidexterity, again, versatility. To improve is on his pressing and injuries. Is he injury prone? I didn't check. Preferred foot right, CDM, CM, Cam. He's still got a lot of growing to do. Okay, so I like the comparisons. Let me know if you guys agree. Is it Tony Cruz, Bruno Guimaraes, and Enzo Fernandez? All right, so let's see what. Let's get a couple clips of him, get you guys' opinions, and then we'll round off the show. Here we go. Oh, he's already scoring. Let's see. Can you guys see that? StreamYard. Yeah, you guys can see that. Okay, so let me go back into it. I missed that. On his right, turned around, good strength. This time, first touch on the left, shoots to the left. Oh, not bad. So he's ambidextrous. Finish with the left, that one. First touch, right footed, nice. Let it crown across, runs in, again with the right foot, first touch. Good take. Was that him that provided that through ball? Must have been. Oh, nice through ball. They talked about it there. That was the right. Turn with the left to the right there. Lovely with the left. This is them against Tottenham. They must have been against Tottenham. First touch. Touch again. Takes it on the left again. Good touch on the right. Turn. Lovely. Takes it on. Slide tackle. I want to see how he is on the. They said something that I saw a comment about how he is in terms of. One criticism was that he doesn't typically take the ball on his left when he's got back to goal, and that takes away the space he's able to run into. So I don't know if anybody knows about that. Good physical strength there, good battle there. Fighting big men here. Save keeper. Nice take, close control. You can see it. Getting past to the left. On a half turn. The ball seems to stick to his feet. Good use of his body. Out to the right. Lovely stuff. See a couple more clips and all. Decent little burst of pace there. Turn. Long ball. Nice. Again, takes it on. 1-2. First touch. Over. Decent. Oh, 2, 3, 4. Is that against Ajax? Good recovery. Lovely. Good drive and run there. Oh, spins left again. He don't mind using his left when he's shooting. Right, so some promising stuff there on Mr. Kees Smit. I don't like hearing myself saying this, but public deals, he's available. Alkmaar won't stand in his way. Our biggest journalist talking about it. Price has been set up something around 22 million. I feel like Newcastle are being used for leverage here with Bayern Munich and everybody else. And Newcastle try and do their best not to take themselves out the race because they are interested in him, but also not to overextend themselves either. John says we need more technical players like this so badly. You can feel the lack of technical ability when the ball goes to certain areas of the pitch. In the final third, yeah, but we do have technical players for sure. Tonali, Bruno, um, uh, Lewis Miley, Botman, Chow. Like, we do have them. Janessa says, I see similarities with Bruno. Both ride challenges well and both are super press resistant. Okay. I like that. Aaron says, definitely agree with Cruz and Bruno comparison. Press resistant and an orchestrator on the ball. Makes things happen anywhere on the pitch. Looks very two-footed, yeah. But what do you guys think about him being press resistant when he doesn't like to take it on his left foot when he's being pressed, and that closes the space. Is there anything to that? Janissa says, Miggy Almiron is someone who only turned one way. Oh, okay, here we go. I don't see it with Smit. And even so, his close control is sublime, so he can win fouls if turning the wrong way. Okay. I like that. Thanks for that, Janiesta. Aaron says, I need someone like Kees Smit on the left so badly. Wow, okay. So Kees Smit is a man to look out for. Joel O'Donis as well. Stankovic and others as well. So I've got a lot of Club Rouge players to look at least two, and AZ Alkmaar. So we'll be keeping tabs, but I don't like the way it's been reported. I don't like the way that this is all out with all of our biggest journalists. I don't like it. But we'll see. I wonder what Miley thinks of this. All right, so guys, we had a fantastic show. We did a tactical breakdown for the match against City. Talked about how City are playing, how their fullbacks, are very key to how they play out from the back and their attack and everything else. They've been absolutely superb. I think the 4-3-3 is the best way forward to be able to combat that and to prevent. You can only do this so much, but to prevent some of the overloads with your O'Reillys and with your Dokus, the answer is to be able to attack. And that 4-3-3 is going to be absolutely key to that as well. Hall is going to be massive. Down that left side, let's see what happens if Gordon. I think Ramsey plays. I think Ramsey should play. So excuse me. I think Ramsey should play regardless of Anthony Gordon or Joe Linton. Either one of them is going to be benched for Ramsey, in my opinion. And I think Ramsdale should play instead of Pope. So I've given my 2-2 predictions. You guys have given your predictions. Have been absolutely amazing. We did our scouting report. Did a good overlook over the Newcastle's where Newcastle's current squad is at, where the gaps are at. For me, it's definitely in the center. If you're looking at priority for January, if there's anywhere to spend money, it's in the defensive line, either to upgrade or to provide rotation. Absolutely key. It'd be great if we can get something in. Last January, we sold players rather than bought players. So I think this time around we've got some, PSI, headroom, some financial headroom. So hopefully we'll buy some players instead. But we looked in detail at Mr. Kees Smit, and from my very brief scouting look in terms of reading scouting reports and looking at compilations, he's looking like a very promising young man. I've got some hesitancy to see how he transitions into Premier League football. I can see him rotating with a Tonali and Bruno kind of thing. I'm not sure he's better than Miley, for instance. I don't know how he'd. I don't know how he. No, a better way of looking at it, I think he will take time. I wouldn't be surprised if we buy him and sold him. But speaking of buying him, the way it's been played out in the media, some lots of brinksmanship from Alkmaar, his agent. I can't help but feel that Newcastle are being used as a flair, as a leverage to entice your Bayern Munichs and your Real Madrids to step up and buy him. Essentially, I hope it's not the case, but we've been through a hell of a transfer window recently where we're now like, I'm feeling like a veteran in this, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll tell you what, if you're a young player, one of the things, and you're looking to develop, Newcastle United are one of those teams around you. I don't know how other teams are done. If you want to develop and you want to play for your senior international team and you want to see yourself becoming on the verge or a world-class player, and you want to develop, Newcastle United is definitely one of those clubs to do that, to come and do that. So you never know. But guys, you've been absolutely incredible as always, adding all your views, all your opinions, all your likes, shares, subscribes, and a lot. You guys add the substance to the show. As always, you've been phenomenal. Make sure you look after each other and yourselves. And God bless, folks.
Brilliant from Shea. And now Murphy can take on the shot.